All right, we do want to bring in now political strategist Rina Shah on this. Rina, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Should Biden or Trump be more concerned by how RFK Jr. is polling right now?
Well, right now, I think it's equal parts, but a bit more for Trump. The concern should lie in his camp because RFK's appeal has already been shown to be going to those who are somewhat MAGA light. And that is in the political operative world, speak for genuinely those people who will definitely vote Republican and have not wavered in that much, but it's about the appeal of what the former president gives them, that outsider look, also somebody that's willing to shake up the system, do unconventional things, promise executive orders that would be something that previous presidents haven't promised. So again, it's about that MAGA light feeling of this is a disruptor. And that's why I think really the concern should be there a little bit more for Trump's side right now.
How big of a deal is it that RFK has gained ballot access in Texas?
I do think that is a very much of a turning point because that is a place in which we all know so many electoral college votes are at stake. But going beyond just sort of what the ramifications of a southern state like Texas are, you have to really look at the big picture. And the big picture is that he hasn't yet hit that point where he's got the math on his side. The ballot access is everything. I've been saying this from the entry of his into the race, as well as to his choice of running mate. Because with his VP nod come millions of dollars in order to get that ballot access he needs. Now, I'll be looking for him to have a little bit more of that southern swath of the United States, as well as a little bit of the north up towards Canada. Fewer electoral college votes there. But what we're looking for, again, is just the math to add up. And right now, the math isn't mathing.
You know, the math isn't mathing. Yeah, the Kennedy camp claiming that they have enough petition signatures to be on the ballot in 13 states. I do want to point out our partners at Decision Desk HQ only confirming 3 so far. Do you think he will be on the ballot in all 50 states by November?
There is no way he can be on the ballot in all 50 states by November. Look, I've been part of a couple different quixotic efforts to also do this similar thing. In 2016, I was part of the Evan McMullin independent presidential bid. We also tried. We were a last minute sort of sprint to the finish line. It is incredibly hard unless you have a line for you carved out, which the not the forward party, the no labels effort did do in many states. They created a ballot access line. Now, we know that No Labels is not putting up a candidate. And I've been sort of waiting to hear if No Labels would ever even get behind RFK Jr. There are no reports of that. So short of that kind of miracle happening for him, he can't count on that. And this is the reality here is just last month, his campaign was saying he'd be on the ballot in 15 states. Now some 13 is what they're saying, but that hasn't been confirmed. I'm looking for him to even make a dent in this race to get on somewhere between 18 and 20 ballots, and it's just not looking realistic for him.
I really appreciate that context. I need to ask you, I want to get your take on the report out that RFK Jr. told the New York Times that doctors found a dead worm in his brain. He says that the worm ate part of his brain, that his memory is affected. Rina, in a time when voters are worried about age, they're worried about competency right now with the other candidates. Why isn't this a bigger issue?
Well, I think the outrage factor here is it not being talked about enough when we discuss these headlines in the news. There are people that have lost the ability to be shocked by our political headlines, and that's a reality here. Is that people are tuning out every day? They're finding these tabloid-style sort of comments made by candidates in order to grab the headline. So it's no surprise that something as outlandish as this is not really making much of a splash because, again, this is a race in which cognitive decline is talked about daily. I've studied public health at the master's level. I also believe there is quite a bit here at play. We've gone through so much since we came out of COVID. People have also tuned out health headlines. We've grown differently as a nation mentally about how we approach, the cognitive ability, the mental aptitude, if you will, of our candidates. So we sit in a very different reality here, and that's why that headline smacks of sort of, okay, yet another thing to be surprised at. Let's move on.
It's a different world. All right, Rina Shah, appreciate the context and time. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.